So, crypto's in a really interesting spot right now. On one hand, you've got governments clamping down and prices taking a hit. But on the other hand, the biggest names in finance are secretly piling in. So, what's the real story here? Let's get into it. Bitcoin, banks, regulation. Right now, these are the three massive forces pulling the entire crypto world in different directions. You've got governments making rules, markets are, reacting like crazy, and Wall Street is finally making its move. So, what does this actually mean for all of us? All right, first up, let's talk about the UK. They are making a huge move. They've just dropped plans to bring crypto under full financial regulation, and believe me, that's sending shockwaves across the globe. And look, these are not just, light suggestions. We're talking about holding crypto companies to the exact same standards as the big traditional banks. We're talking full transparency, serious consumer protection, and making sure they have enough cash on hand to handle any crisis. This isn't a little penalty. This is them bringing crypto into the fold for real. Okay, so why should you care about some rule change in the UK? Well, here's the thing. When London's financial district makes a move, Wall Street and the rest of the world pay close attention. This is definitely going to have a ripple effect. It's going to force crypto companies everywhere to step up their game. Yeah, it's probably going to be a bit of a headache at first, but long term, this is exactly what opens the floodgates for big institutional money. And this really gets to the heart of it. The big takeaway here isn't that regulators are out to get crypto. No. It's that crypto is, it's growing up. It's finally moving out of that Wild West phase and stepping onto Wall Street. So, okay, regulation is coming. How are the markets taking it? Honestly, it's kind of all over the place. The long-term picture seems to be getting clearer, but in the short term, the price has been a real roller coaster. So let's dig into why Bitcoin took that recent dip. So yeah, Bitcoin pulled back a bit from its recent highs. But here's the critical part. This wasn't really about Bitcoin itself. The real reason? It came from the US Federal Reserve. They basically signaled that interest rates might stay high for a while to fight inflation. This is a classic case of what economists call macro pressure. To put it simply, when interest rates are high, borrowing money gets expensive. And when that happens, investors get a little nervous about risky stuff, like crypto, so they tend to sell and move their money into safer bets. So the main thing to remember here is that this dip wasn't about people suddenly losing faith in Bitcoin. Not at all. It was a totally rational, market-wide reaction to big-picture economic news. And honestly, for better or worse, it just goes to show how plugged into the global financial system crypto has become. Trying to make sense of all these market moves can be tough. If this kind of breakdown helps clear things up for you, maybe think about subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Okay, but here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Because while all the headlines were screaming about regulation and price drops, some of the absolute biggest names in finance were doing something completely different. And they were doing it very, very quietly. 3%. Now, I know that might not sound like a massive number, but trust me, it is a huge deal. We're talking about the largest private bank in Brazil telling its clients to put 3% of their entire portfolio into Bitcoin. To give you some context, that's the kind of number advisors often suggest for things like real estate. It's serious. This shows a fundamental shift in how the old-school financial world sees Bitcoin. It's moving away from being seen as just some wild gamble and more towards being seen as digital gold, a legitimate asset, a real store of value that you hold for the long term. So, why is this so massive? Simple. Big banks don't chase hype. They don't jump on fads. They make very careful, calculated, long-term decisions. This is basically the clearest signal you can get that big money, institutional adoption isn't just on the way. It's already happening. And that could be what finally brings some real stability to the crypto market. All right, so we've got a clearer path for regulation, and we've got the big institutions getting interested. But what does any of this mean for the rest of us? Well, the last piece of this whole puzzle is actually being able to use crypto in our everyday lives. For the longest time, let's be honest, the main thing you did with crypto was just buy it and hope it went up. It was an investment. But now, we're seeing this incredible shift towards actual real-world use. It's turning from just a speculative thing into something you can actually spend. I mean, check this out. A new crypto payment card was just announced. This is a total game changer. Think about it. Buying your coffee, grabbing groceries, and paying with your crypto holdings just like you would with a normal debit card. That's the kind of everyday usefulness that could really take crypto mainstream. Now, of course, it's not perfect yet. We've still got some major hurdles to clear. We're talking about high fees sometimes, the rules are still a bit murky, and of course, the price can swing like crazy. But the forward momentum is just, you can't deny it. It feels like things are really starting to happen. Okay, let's pull all these threads together. You've got tighter rules coming. You've got short-term price dips because of the wider economy. At the same time, you have the big banks quietly buying in, and you can now actually spend crypto on stuff. All these things are pulling in different directions, which leads us to the big question. Are we still early, or are we already late to the party? I mean, with the big institutions already moving in and the rule books being written as we speak, are we still at the beginning of this thing? Or has that ground floor, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity already passed us by? There's really no easy answer to that, is there? But understanding all these different forces at play is absolutely crucial. If you want to keep getting clear updates on what's really going on in the money world, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And hey, I'd love to know what you think about that last question. Drop a comment below. Thanks for tuning in.